My husband and I were married for 12 years before he passed away. We have 2 kids together. He also has 2 kids from a previous relationship. When he passed away, his ex expressed wanting to keep things the same and have the kids spending time together. However, she meant the custody schedule, indicating that I still have her kids 50% of the time. I miss my husband and was always close with my stepkids, so I agreed. 3 years have passed and the kids are teens, and I still want them in my life. However, I want to start forming my own habits, traditions, and vacations without her input, such as vacations on her off time, and not taking them, me not spending enough on birthdays, and her asking me for money for their sports and interest. When I brought this up, she threw a fit and literally said I was abandoning them, just like their dad. I'm showing my true colors. Clearly, I never loved them like I said I did. I explained that they could still come over and would still have their rooms, but if I want to go to my parents who live hours away, I don't want to have to clear it with her anymore, because I also don't want them at my house unsupervised, not because I don't trust them, but because they're still young. She's literally hired a lawyer and is trying to establish that I agreed to a custody arrangement, and she wants child support since we always had more money. My husband had money set aside for his kids when we met, and when he died, I sold his assets and split the money between all 4 kids. His life insurance was also split in 5 for all of us. The house was mine, so it was never written to be left to his kids. The estate lawyer set it up where they get money at a certain age, and she got a monthly amount to help raise them. I don't believe I owe her more. Some people in our life are split, since it seems like I did agree to custody, but I was just trying to be a stable figure for them. Am I wrong for wanting her to screw off and not wanting to give her anything? This whole thing seems ridiculous, but her lawyer is attacking me. Not the idiot. She's trying to make you share in the rearing and the bill for her kids because you were their step-parent? I don't think so, man. You already are being generous, a part of their life actively, and are trying to withhold money left to them by their father. Plus, this was an agreement you made when husband died. Died? To hold you to that agreement 3 years later is a complete idiot move. There are very few widows and widowers who would have done what you did. I'm sorry you're having to struggle through this. It's not fair to you or any of these children. Exactly. She's ridiculous. I'm surprised the lawyer is even entertaining this. That woman has been scamming you out of free babysitting for years. Stop this. The kids are old enough to catch up socially. All they want. Don't give the leech any more blood. I would have nipped this in the bud a long time ago. You're under no obligation to co-parent these kids. If you haven't already, I will get a lawyer to stop her from harassing you and learn your rights. But I am curious. You watch her kids. Do your kids go to her place? Never. She said because they had never visited her before my husband died, there was no reason for it to start now. I honestly think I have them that much still because they want to be here, because she's always off doing her own thing. But if I ever took them somewhere on my time, she'd probably charge me with kidnapping. She and my late husband never married and had kids really young. My parents didn't like the idea of me being young and dating someone with kids and suggested I break it off. I was pretty rebellious, so we got married after knowing him for 6 or 7 months before the wedding. Oh, wow, I'm reeling. This is madness. I'm so sorry you've been taken advantage of so much. Wow, let her yell and fuss. You legally have no obligation to her or her kids. You are not blood related. You didn't adopt them, and there's no legal tie. She's just upset that she can't fob them off on you anymore. Sit down with the kids, explain things, and go finally live your life. You're not the ex-girlfriend's kid's parent or guardian. You don't have any legal claim and no responsibility. Excuse me? Can we do the math? Stepkids are teens. OP's husband died 3 years ago. They were married, not just together, but OP says married for 12 years. OP was dating her late husband while his ex was pregnant. I can't really blame her for being a bit hostile to OP generally and wanting to get everything she can out of OP's late husband's assets. Again, get a lawyer now. Bio daughter's dad and my relationship did not end on good terms. While I tried my best to keep the children out of it, he disagreed, and in an attempt to get the kids to side with him, he went on a smear campaign against me. While he didn't accomplish his goal of getting them to want to be with him, he was successful in straining my relationship with my daughter. I tried therapy and everything possible, but she stopped participating once she was old enough to refuse. I remarried when my bio daughter was 13, and my husband had a daughter 2 years younger than our bio daughter. Since the beginning, the girls did not get along. At first, bio daughter was the one instigating, but eventually, the hate became mutual in their teen years. Both girls are now in their mid-20s, and their relationship has not gotten any better. Bio daughter's getting married next year, and she's having a relatively large wedding. I knew since the beginning that my stepdaughter was not in the wedding party. Still, everyone assumed she would at least be invited to the ceremony. While talking about the wedding, the topic of my stepdaughter was brought up. At that point, my daughter said that my stepdaughter wasn't invited. When I asked her why, her reasoning is that she wanted an intimate wedding. This would normally be a reasonable response, except that even friends she hasn't seen since elementary school were invited, but her stepsister was not. So I pressed her, and she said she wasn't invited because she's not family. I said if stepsister's not family, then neither is stepdad and her half-siblings, and by proxy, I'm also not family. And so if it's a family-only wedding, then there's no point in me attending. She obviously got upset and started screaming and ended up leaving. She told her aunts and grandparents, and everyone's saying that I'm an idiot for refusing to attend her wedding. You are the idiot. Who died and made you the wedding guest list police? You say your relationship is strained. I wonder why. Obviously, you favor your stepdaughter. You say their hate is mutual. Why on earth should I invite someone to my wedding who hates me? You can't choose family, but you can choose who you invite to your wedding. It's well within her right to exclude someone she dislikes and is disliked by. Why do you think it's reasonable to pressure her into inviting her stepsister with that kind of ultimatum? Why would it even be important to you? What is the benefit of having stepdaughter there at all? Sorry, but I think your daughter will go no contact soon, and she'll be right. I agree with this. The relationship isn't strained because of the ex-husband. It's strained because mom decided to prioritize her new family. If the girls mutually hate each other, why should daughter invite someone she hates to her wedding? You may be doing your daughter a favor by not attending her wedding. She doesn't need someone who can't put her first on one of her most important days. I hope your daughter goes no contact. It shouldn't be a big deal since you have your stepdaughter. Was it just me who felt cringe by OP calling her own daughter bio? I suppose it was for clarity, but the massive overuse of bio felt really awkward. Tell me your stepdaughter's the golden child without telling me she's the golden child. And we wonder why the bio child doesn't like stepdaughter. Bio daughter probably loves being referred by bio too. You're a bio mom, idiot. I can't imagine why you're about to be estranged from your bio baby. Don't blame your ex for straining your relationship with your daughter. You've managed to kill the relationship all on your own. I, 25 male, have been with my boyfriend, Liam, 28, for 2 years. Generally, we're in a very happy relationship, and we barely ever disagree on important matters, meaning that in those 2 years, I can't remember even one significant fight. That was until a few days ago. I barely even remember what we were arguing about, but it escalated, and at one point, we were both speaking with raised voices, not quite screaming, but close enough. The one thing I remember very clearly is how he told me to get out before he did something he'd regret. I don't think he was genuinely going to hurt me, but in that moment, those words did something to me, and I just grabbed my phone and took off. I called my best friend, Daisy, 26 female, who was kind enough to come and pick me up and take me to her flat. She told me that maybe spending the night away from each other wasn't the worst idea to give us time to think about what had happened and advised me not to make any decisions in the heat of the moment. I texted Liam to please not worry, that I was safe with Daisy and would spend the night at hers. I asked him to please give me some time to think, but said that I'd be ready to talk the next day and that I loved him. I turned off my phone without waiting for an answer, and the rest of the night was relatively uneventful, with me nodding off on the couch at some point. The next morning, I woke up and turned on my phone to face missed calls and messages from Liam, his best friend, 29 male, and his brother, 26. Apparently, after my message, he had taken off after me and had run a red light, resulting in him colliding with another car. Luckily, both my boyfriend and the other driver got away with concussions and a few bruises. After I read those messages, Daisy took me to the hospital, and I went to check on Liam, who was doing all right, considering the circumstances. We had a bit of admittedly tense small talk, and then, seemingly out of the blue, he told me that none of this would have happened if I had just acted like an adult. Let's say our conversation didn't get less tense from this point on. Daisy tried to tell me that it wasn't my fault, as I couldn't have known he was going to follow me, and Liam's brother agreed with her and tried to console me. My boyfriend and his best friend told me that running away was an idiot move and that I was immature for turning off my phone and blocking him out, causing him to go after me and get into this accident. Not the idiot. Liam's behavior towards you is abusive. Blaming you for the accident instead of taking responsibility and admitting he was too angry to drive is the height of controlling and abusive behavior. Also, don't underestimate threats of violence. Generally, when people threaten, they mean it. You even messaged him to say that you were safe and to not worry about you. You even told him where you were. He had no reason to leave in a huff and then cause an accident. None of that is on you. It is actually very adult to walk away from a situation before you say things in the heat of the moment you don't really mean. I'm glad your boyfriend is okay, but you absolutely deserve an apology. This is not your fault. Exactly. What struck me as odd was, why was he racing to get to him? Why run a red light at all? It wasn't a life or death emergency. What was the purpose of seeking him out? To apologize, to attack, to make a huge dramatic scene? Running a red light to get to him was, at best, a very immature decision. It was entirely his own choice. A reasonable guy would recognize that he had made a mistake and be sheepish and embarrassed about it. Get out of this relationship. He's already warned you about who he is and what he'll do. My 27, wife's 23, grandmother is downsizing and moving into a retirement community. Rather than put everything into storage and wait until she passes away, her grandmother's giving away everything that won't fit in her new home to her family. Part of my wife's loot was a French butter keeper. If you don't know what that is, I'll try to explain. It's a ceramic bowl roughly the size of a large mug with no handle. The lid has a smaller bowl attached to it, and when you put it on, the smaller bowl fits inside the bigger bowl, upside down. That's important to the story. The bigger bowl has some water in it that keeps the butter cool and forms an airtight seal to protect the butter. I told my wife that it was really cool, and I set it up. She said that I set it up wrong, and she emptied out the water and flipped the thing upside down. About a week later, I came home and she was crying because she broke it. A little butter had gotten between the bowls and made them kind of tacky, I guess. When she picked up the outer bowl lid, the smaller one came with it. Butter does not make a good adhesive, so when it was a few inches up, the bottom came loose and fell. It hit at just the wrong angle and broke. My wife says I should have explained better why she was wrong. She said that I let her break it to prove a point. She's upset with me for letting her break a gift. I don't know what she would have wanted me to explain. Gravity? The adhesive coefficient of butter? I showed her the right way and let her have her way when she called it dumb. I think if she really cared, it would have taken 5 seconds to YouTube a video of how to use the darn thing. Not the idiot. You can lead a horse to water, but she's projecting and is rationalizing because the item meant something to her and she messed it up. It's a safe bet if you did anything else, she'd have accused you of mansplaining. She was content with her approach for a week and didn't realize how delicate and irreplaceable it was until it was lost. This older technology doesn't always work in a logical way to people today. She unilaterally decided that she knew better, messed with it, and eventually broke it through misuse. OP feels very "I told you so" about it, but it feels deserved considering her attitude is, "I broke it, but it's your fault. You didn't correct me when I called you dumb." But this isn't about the butter dish. She's coming to terms with her grandma coming to the end of her life, and she broke what she had been gifted to remember her by. Your wife's feeling stupid and guilty. You don't need to add "I told you so" into the mix. It isn't necessary, it isn't helpful, and it isn't kind. This isn't the time to gloat or point fingers. She shouldn't have shifted the blame, but this is an emotional time for her. Have some compassion. My wife Mia and I have 3 children, and we're expecting our 4th. 2 of our 3 kids are not named after others. We just really love their names. Our oldest, however, is named Taylor, after the nurse who delivered her and saved her and my wife's lives. Nurse Taylor did something I can never repay him for, and without him, they wouldn't be here today. It seemed fitting to honor him. My family assumed that naming Taylor after someone would mean we would do the same with our other kids, but we had never planned on using honor names. Special circumstances and a very special man are why we did with our oldest. Since learning of this pregnancy and knowing it's our last, my parents and siblings have dropped comments about honor names and how special and beautiful it would be for the youngest to hold a name that honors someone in their family. I and we have always told them that we would not be giving our youngest an honor name, and I told them to let the topic go. Mia got a lot of comments behind my back because they were willing to press harder on her than me. They used a few guilt cards, which I don't appreciate. After my wife was left a lengthy voicemail about the importance of honoring those closest to us and making Taylor feel less alone and being the only one named after someone, I had grown sick and tired of my family. So I stopped by my parents' house, asked my siblings to come and ask them if they wanted the youngest to be given an honor name. Yes, then they better get ready to go above and beyond and save one of our lives, because that's the level they need to meet. I said if they did not or could not do that, to shut up about it and accept that our child will get a name that we love. My family called me a rude idiot and said I was behaving like a petty child, throwing that in their face. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. They're the ones behaving like petty children, and projecting feelings of loneliness onto Taylor is beyond ridiculous. Honestly, they're grasping for straws so hard with that argument that I had to laugh. If anything, the other kids will wonder why they just got random names their parents liked, while their older sibling got named after a kick-ass life-saving nurse. They're the ones that are behaving like petty children. Honestly, it sounds like OP is the petty one. How difficult would it be to honor every one of their family members with a conjoined name? Chris Sam Shanahimothy. Now everyone's honored. Respectfully, I have to disagree. Signed, William Michael Leon. I really don't understand why people care so much about another kid's name when it really doesn't have anything to do with them. If they really want to honor someone, then they can do it with their own kids. No one is stopping them. People should learn to stop meddling in others' business.